Welcome to Gerald Johan van Wa's educational channel. Today I will continue to inform you how this method of sound inform that I published at Trafford, which is also called methodical synesthesia, how this works, and in these few videos that hang together I explain briefly the theory, or a simplification of the theory that makes it very easy to understand and to use. The two parts of the book will be in separate volumes as well. The first volume is out just now. So what is this about, this book, this method? It's actually a complete new method, which I worked on this method quite a long time, not the whole time, but I started anew on this theory every 5-10 years or so, and then after the third time I think, okay, now I have enough to prove that this is not just nonsense. It really works, and the method that I explained there in my book are in fact the various variations that you can have. So the full range of possibilities what you can do with it, with this synesthesia, theoretically, practically, and I make some studies in it. My goal maybe is, and this is a preparation in the videos, it can be simplified, it is, and it can be derived to just one theory, but you have to have already some notice how it works, and this book is more like a preparation that you put your mind onto it and make a combination of your rational understanding and your sensitivity itself, that you develop it as well, so that you start to think in how you can combine forms and so on. But you need, of course, a lot of examples, so most of these videos are with examples how it works, and then you gradually learn more and understand more, just because, and grasp more, or maybe you even find the link somewhere in the back of your mind that, okay, maybe this is true, and maybe here I recognize something. This is already a good start when you start to feel that. I know it works, and I can, of course, I don't have to prove it anymore, so I just give examples. But still, I will finalize the theory with this couple of videos into a more simplistic form. So what do? I change, or I transform the letters and all its related sounds and how the words are written into a form, and you can analyze this form. You can see that the meaning and underlying meaning that is related with the sounds and the letters is actually a true representation of the words. So thanks to this method you can learn to do that. So this is part 4 of my series, where I explained the theory especially, with some examples in the last couple of videos. The first three parts, I already explained it as when starting from the method of numerology of Pythagoras. They associated the letters with numbers, and it is useful up until a certain degree, especially up until 3 centers, like I explained it, the letters with one center, from a one center point of view, the A, T and the K, one dimension if you like. The 2 centers with U, L and B, also with the extension of the space and this area, so the 2-dimensional area, with a video that explained also an example of the word bull, and the 3 centers, and in the end with the explanations and the examples of tax and max. But I also explained in the last video, like, if you continue to do that with the numbers, you will not never understand it, because you still start from one center and don't make the adaptations that are needed. Nature itself will limit itself as much as possible to make a simplification. No matter how complicated it is, it has to be Most things has to be within range so that everybody can grasp it, even if one does not understand a thing. That's how words are formed and explained. At this time in history, almost nobody understands anything what the letters are about, or only feels it just slightly. Okay, this is the association that is in it. It is very vague, but it is in our mind and it is in the nature, and it is as real as numbers are. The letter signification and how they mix is a real reality. It's an underlying real reality, and it almost has a spiritual meaning. That's why the associations with the word and all these things still exist in the back of our mind, even if we today are associating it with something that has almost nothing to do with it anymore, or hardly anything to do with it anymore. It is literally living association, and it makes an association which is the same as nature works out, and that is the way we can explain it as well. So if you use force centers, it will make it too complicated, so we have to derive it to simply the first simplification back to the three parts that are always available and understandable by everybody and graspable, so you can make a connection with everything at all the time, even if you don't understand it, because everything exists in always in three or in the three dimensions when you find the point of reach. That's a simple thing. So don't make it too complicated. Everything that is more than three dimensions, it's temporal. So we have the fourth dimension of time, and how this world of 4 dimensions, 5 dimensions, 6 dimensions looks like. Don't overestimate it. This is not a UFO world. This is not something out of space. The reality, nature tends to go back to something which is much more simple. So it is our three-dimensional world is still what is available directly to us. Keep to it. Don't overestimate it. I will make some suggestions elsewhere as well. So the 4 centers, it's too complicated. If you would try that, you will make mistakes. It's simpler to say, okay, we have 3 dimensions of space. So these first 3 levels were spatial orientations. If you continue with the complexity, okay, you need 1 dimension extra. But that's what it is, a dimension extra. It's a temporal dimension, and this dimension is the dimension of time. It can also reflect itself with deformations or a reorientation in space as well. But you need the element of time to make that happen. And in the last video I explained it with the example of DAC there with the 4 centers, and now we will come to the next level. So here's a quick resume of the letters A, T and K. These are the positions, and these positions they can be measured with horizontal, vertical, diagonal measurements. The doubling centers with the U, L and the B, and which form the regions. It's almost like the 2-dimensional vision on them. The first one was the 1-dimensional vision, and then the tripling centers. So the tripling centers are already with some variations that makes it slightly complicated, but I explained them as M, C and X in a way that you could understand them quite easily. And then of course the one with 4 centers, which can be derived to just a move from one center to a next one. Not much more than that. So you can see here the moves towards a different center. This move means also that the borders of the limits of the spaces that are usually within one center will be exceeded. And so it's because we go to somewhere else, there's a realization that there's somewhere else, and it leads to a displacement. So you go to a different place, and the displacement can also be a deformation from the center that you can recognize in the forms. But before you can make the change happen, you need a couple of guiding measurements, and this measurement is time, because you need time to adapt, and this is what it is. So this displacement leads to focus onto a different place. This different place in D, there we realize how much our center volumes needs to make a change and make an adaptation. In psychological terms, you could say, okay, we are from a one-centered thinking, our own thinking, and we have to place ourselves into the mind or ideas of someone else. So we have to make displacements of our own centered thinking, and we have to adapt something. So we have to make a move. We have to make a change. The next step is with the N, so that's the volume, that's the content in it. There is a certain material that we have to change position. So it also decides how much material we need there, how much material we need to add, or how much material is from someone else. So it is not filled in immediately, and we have to learn to fill it in and make different connections. That's the N. It's not just a psychological, it is a psychological association, but it also means that in physical objects, this happens there. So it is a way of filling in with a certain content, the content of N. The Y there is that's the last part. Then we know how much further we still need to go to these this range of what we need to achieve. So, short resume. There's also a kind of deformation in the form. That's what I didn't explain completely yet in the last video, but it also is present in every object that has D in it. There is certain preparation here from in the center. So the center has this form of, it is slightly out of focus because it is already focusing upon a different place. It wants to adapt to it, to this move. In the N, the same thing. So the whole volume there has a certain space where things have to be added. So this form that you can see here is very presentable of the insertion of new material. It's the N there. It's not the Y. The Y is the realization where we need to go to. So this is the insertion of the new material with this form that can be derived from it very easily. So it's a deformation. If you find this deformation, you can recognize the N. So the result is in the N. And there's a letter, there's a word which is a very good example. It's the bean. There are more things with the N at the end, but the B-E-A-N. So it's the enlargement towards a different an enlargement of itself and going to a different center into an N. This deformation. So it's extra material. This material is in fact, if you can see that immediate already. And if you can see this form, it is a form of preparation of its material, and that's what's happening in the bean. It's the seed of the forms that are going to change to a different position, a different place, and that you can recognize in this form. The preparatory area where material can be changed. That's what I wrote there. The Y, if I pronounce it well, because I'm not native English, so I could make mistakes, sorry for that, is, of course, there you can see that we, thanks to the borders, we know exactly what the range is. So the range is, and the limits, we know from where to where we have to move all our limits. So the conditions is, of course, that we need time. Yeah, so the time is there on top. So it's the time that we move to somewhere else. and then the second dimension is discovered. The second dimension of time is discovered there, or the two-dimensional range of the time is discovered there, because we move to a different position, not just in time but also in space. So in a way, this second dimension that is added to time is falling back on the space actually. So we need time and space. So the time needs us to find another space. So this space is moved in time. That's what actually is saying this is expressed in this form. So in this next level we have of course two dimensions extra, and this will help us and guide us to fill in the move. So because we had already this double focus in the last three letters, but this double focus was just a focus, so we still had to do the move and fill it in. How we have to fill it in, that's of course typical for the second dimension. It's filling in the space, the range, instead of just pointing at where we have to go to. The first dimension of it, last three letters, are discovering the places where we have to go to, and the second dimension is the space that fills it in. So you can still use the two dimensions of time, but you can also derive it to the starting point of we have time, and then we have the moved space. So when you really achieve it, you don't need the fourth dimension plus one, but it is actually fourth dimension minus one. So you achieve it, you received it, like I expressed in the Y. You go to the space and you found the space. So you found a second space where you move to. When do you find it? After some time. So that is exactly what it means. So we can of course move to something that is not too far, or a bit further, or quite far and almost out of reach. So, and these three positions, again three, brings us to the next letters. The next level, on the level of 5 of complexity, with the number 5 of Pythagoras that associates these letters, we have in fact 4 different letters that fit to that. But I will tell you which 4 positions instead of 3 are possible with these 3 positions. We start with the first one. It's close by. So the move is to somewhere very close, so it's very near. So if you measure it in the 4 dimensions of what we need to achieve, or the 4 in the square, that we can measure it to where all the extensions will go to. So it's the move to the right in time, and horizontal to the time, and then the vertical to space. You can say the measurements that I will say it a little more simple. So the move, simply move, that is going to be there after a while, is directing itself within reach, and it is expressed like this. And you can recognize a letter in it. It's the letter E. The form fits to it completely. It fits perfectly. This is the E, or the E. The real pronunciation is E or E. So it's from E to E. They both fit quite well. There will be a difference, but I will. That's for another time. So this is the first example. So the letter E, or E, just like you write it. So that is important. How you pronounce it, that I will have to be a little bit more complete about that some other time. But here you can. No, I will be complete. E is a short time. The double E is the E. E. That's it. So here with the E it is, or E, it is within reach. If there has to be breached a gap, in this case with space, okay, then it still is within someone's range, but you need an extra space which is still within the limits of the first center position. So this move is reachable, as you can see, but the letter that fits to it, it is already further away than its first collection of center point visions. Then we need the letter O for it, O or O, depending on the amount of space and bridges that you need to go to within that these limits. So this is of course the bridging of space, but this also brings us to another context, both the context with an O as well, that is related to this letter. If the range to reach is even further, it's further away, but you can still reach it with some spaces that are filled in so that you can collect the several spaces together and still reach the endpoint. We have the W. The W is still possible to bridge connection. It's a bit further away. We need a lot of gaps in space to bridge, but it's still reachable. It's a softer energy. It's not a strong energy, but it's still possible and within our reach. And this the description of this connection is expressed with W. The next one and the last letter is when the spaces and ranges that needs to be connected are too close to each other. When it's too close, you get bridging gaps with different stages, but the different stages are all within reach. You have the letter Z. So here it's too close and it's still within our own space or range. And but we cannot find immediate adaptation, so we can't mix it within the same time frame because it will be completely chaos and too much of energy. But we can still do that by bridging time and bridging space, because the space also has to move. Something has to move from within here. As you can see, there is here some switches that you have to make, and then from within you can find the connection, and then there is an adaptation. This is the Z. Just to resume of all these letters, you have the E within range, the O with a space so within the same space range, the E, an extra space range to bridge with the O, several spaces to bridge with the W, and within the space a couple of moves with Z. So here's a resume. Within the reach of its own center, we need extra space or spatial momentums even to bridge. And here are some examples with the W and the Z. The W you can imagine like wind. There are several spaces which all have their own range of values, and they are starting to interconnect somewhere. The values are different, so there are variations between them, and they start to interact somewhat, just like the wind. But the variations they are interacting on a larger scale of time, from one space to another, but with a larger space of time, how they form themselves and find good interaction over time. The other one is not in range of larger spaces. It's the small space from within, and there the move of space in within is closer by. So with the energy, it doesn't find a way outside itself, but within itself. Sand is a very good example, because at some point it has also this value that at some point sand can collapse or can have can yeah, over a certain edge, the tension which is in there suddenly appears. And okay, look it up in some physical books, which are the examples of what happens in sand, but it reflects the Z. In English, it's with the S, so it might not be so clear in that word, but with the Z itself, it shows that there is a fixed energy which can't find its way, and with some sudden changes in space, it can solve its and show its tension. And so, with all these, yes, this slide had to be earlier. So with the Z and the W, but okay, I explained that already. Just like this one. So, and then in the example of E and O, or A and O, the A is then the extension of the space that surrounds it. So there's an extension that you can still grasp from within one center. It's not larger, it is rather smaller than the first center. And when this happens, you can express it with A. If it's within the range of its environment and of its environment, yes. So within that range, but it need already more space than from that takes it a bit further away. You have the O that fits very well with it. And in that way also, like the circles fit most better with the O, and the squares fit better with the A, for the reason of spatial ranges. But if you want to have this explained, okay, this is some other time. I don't want to make it too complicated. So the O, as you can see, it is just within range of the environment. The Y is a letter that I express here as well. It's not within range anymore, but you can see that you can still reach it. It is so the focus is still there. So the Y is the focus. The W as well. It is okay. It is bridgeable. It means it is bridgeable. So the word away actually says there are two centers, two A's, and in the middle is the W, means it's still within reach, and the Y says it is further away, but it is okay. We try to focus on it so that we can reach it. So away, perfectly express it in sounds what this letter means. Here the Y there on top, you're trying to reach it, but there is a still to bridge distance. This letter alone is making the second object already a bit too far and actually already out of reach. The E already also as a vowel, I will also express it here. So with the E, you realize that you can still make it fit within the system. So I make here an insertion of this E to make it fit within the system. Not more examples, I think it's clear enough. If you want to learn the basics and get used to the basics, because that's the first thing you need to do, get used to it. You can check the book Sound in Form, Methodical Synesthesia. It's also in 2 volumes, and there should be an e-book that is more cheap very soon as well. They are available at several sources. In the European range, I saw that it was available at bol.com. Now, I hope you enjoyed anyhow. So thanks for watching again. This was Gerald Johan van Waas. And there's a website. This is my homepage where you have some information, some extra images that are in color that cannot be found in color in the book. And you can of course subscribe to the YouTube channel to keep yourself informed. Also for more instructional videos. This was one of the instructional videos, not with the examples, but with a better explanation of the theory. Thanks for watching.